0 inches with the skill of the situation, it's the same as having an immortal body. At the end of his words, Xiao Yan couldn't help but take a deep breath. In his heart, he was extremely curious about Su Chouai's identity. Immortal body? This is too terrifying. Does this mean that there is no one in this world who can kill him? The Xiao Ao couldn't help but shake its head. You can't say that. Even Ultimate Saint Expert can't live forever. The situation skill is just a secret arts that can strengthen the body to the extreme. It will become stronger and stronger as the body reconstructed itself. As long as the soul seed isn't destroyed, it will be restored to its original state. Xiao Yan shook his head and explained his understanding of the current situation skill. In the Yunluo Academy, he had gone through many books and finally found out what the 8 powers were. No wonder he came here. This is crazy. The Xiao Ao exclaimed and looked at the dense forest below. The roars of ferocious beasts continuously resounded like thunder. It seemed like Su Chouai's body was constantly being torn apart and reconstructed, causing the situation to become more and more powerful. However, every time his body recovers, it will consume a huge amount of qi and blood. It's not appropriate for this guy to come here. Xiao Yan slightly focused his mind and shook his head with a serious expression. This place is too strange. Let's leave this place quickly. Ignore that madman. The Xiao Ao frowned and felt somewhat uneasy. In this place, he had a feeling that something was not right. Let's go. After pondering for a moment, Xiao Yan shook his head and gave up on the idea of going down. The dense forest below was filled with powerful ferocious beasts. If he went down now, he was afraid that he would be torn into pieces. He could only wait until he became stronger to search for the secrets within. What a pity. It's one of the 8 powers. If I could get it, my strength would increase by a lot. Seeing that Xiao Yan was about to leave, the Xiao Ao let out a regretful sigh. With a movement of its body, it turned into a ball of flame and landed on Xiao Yan's shoulder. 8 force intimidating strike. Even if I can take it over, I might not be able to refine it. It will be even more difficult for me to reach the large success stage. Xiao Yan smiled lightly and looked at the dense forest below once again. With a glance, the furious roars of the ferocious beast gradually weakened. Back then, for the sake of the prestige power spell, he had committed countless crimes. The current Su Chuya was also willing to sacrifice his own life to enter this place in order to complete his cultivation technique. He was experiencing an extremely painful experience. During this half a day, the prestige power spell had trembled dozens of times. It was hard to imagine that Su Chuya had resurrected from the dead 10 times. With a thought, the dark golden words in front of him were obediently reflected on his chest. Xiao Yan tidied his clothes and was about to leave. Get lost! Suddenly, Su Chouai's furious voice sounded from behind. Immediately, a powerful origin qi pillar whizzed over. Xiao Yan was startled. His feet moved and he had already left this place. Bang! The origin qi pillar whizzed past. It was like a green chain that was tightly wrapped around a huge tree in front of him. The chain trembled and Su Chuya did his best to leap over. A huge lion-like heavenly beast pounced wildly from behind. Its millstone-like head ruthlessly bit down on Su Chuya, nearly biting him. The air trembled as Su Chuya did his best to leap over. A huge lion-like heavenly beast pounced on him from behind. Its millstone-like head violently bit down and nearly bit down on Su Chuya. Roar! Owu! The huge lion let out a furious low cry after letting Su Chuya leave. Only then did it reluctantly fall into the forest. The former collapsed weakly onto the ground. He leaned against the huge tree and panted intensely. His entire body was covered in blood and he was almost on the verge of dying. Why? Why haven't you left yet? He sensed that someone was coming from the side. Su Chuya was startled and forced his eyes open. When he saw Xiao Yan, he immediately gritted his teeth and panted. I have made a good discovery. Xiao Yan chuckled and looked at Su Chuya with a playful look. Oh! Hearing this, Su Chuya sneered and a trace of a smile appeared on his face. What, you want to rob me? A cold expression suddenly appeared in Su Chouai's eyes when he saw that Xiao Yan didn't speak. He snorted coldly and stretched out his right hand. Under Xiao Yan's astonished gaze, he actually tore off his left arm. Ah! The suffocating pain caused Su Chuya to roar continuously. Immediately after, he stopped and held his left arm in his hand, letting the blood flow freely. He smiled coldly at Xiao Yan and said, Here you go. There's something you want on it. You have a tactic. You can recover even if you lose your head, let alone losing an arm. How can I kill you? Xiao Yan smiled and shook his head. But it is as you said. He is a madman. Cut the crap. What do you want? Su Chuya laughed coldly. He clenched his fist tightly, and the origin chi in his palm flowed out in all directions. He had already crushed the severed arm. I just want to know a lot about the northern Kang Mountains. I think you should know a lot about them. Xiao Yan walked over and squatted beside Su Chuya. Get lost. Su Chuya didn't even look at Xiao Yan. He coldly spat out a word. Don't say that. Xiao Yan smiled and looked at Su Chuya with his sharp eyes. After that, he shifted his gaze and looked at the broken arm of Su Chuya without saying a word. If you don't want to die, then hurry up and leave. You know that you can't kill me. When I recover, it will be too late for you to escape. Su Chuya's face was as cold as ice as he glared at Xiao Yan. You are a brave man with a broken wrist. You are very brave. However, with your current injuries, even if you have a situation skill, I'm afraid that you won't be able to recover in a short period of time. Xiao Yan sneered and pointed at Su Chuya's broken arm. Btth2. What kind of injury can't be healed by the skill? A broken arm is nothing. Su Chuya's expression was gloomy, and he was about to explode. Then let's just wait and see. Even if your other injuries can be healed, this arm won't grow out. Xiao Yan stood up immediately, his expression was also unfriendly. Why? Su Chuya felt uneasy when he saw Xiao Yan's serious face. He gritted his teeth and said, the blood and qi in your body have long been depleted. The broken arm just now had caused severe damage to the origin monarch qi in your body, and it had almost depleted your source energy. Now, not to mention this arm, even if the situation is restructured, it will still take a lot of time. Xiao Yan sneered coldly. What? Su Chuya's heart skipped a beat when he heard what Xiao Yan said, and his facial expression turned ugly. The reason why he dared to enter the forbidden area of the northern Kang Mountains was because of what he was relying on. No matter how much damage he suffered, he would be able to recover immediately. But now that his vitality was insufficient, he did not know how much time it would take for him to recover the situation. This time, he was really reckless. What do you want to do? When he came back to his senses, Su Chuya let out a cold snort. He no longer had any hostility towards Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan did not speak. He thought for a while and a dark golden light shone on his chest. In the next moment, a dark golden word, force, leapt out. The moment the word appeared, the sound of the wind suddenly howled. Su Chuya also sensed it and looked at the former in disbelief. You also possess 8 powers. Su Chuya finally opened his mouth after a long while. His voice was filled with shock. 0 inches prestige power spell, it can resist all kinds of qi suppression. On the contrary, it can also suppress the enemy with qi. Xiao Yan grinned. With a thought, a dark golden word was imprinted on his chest. I can't believe you have mastered it so well. Su Chuya was stunned once again. He took a deep look at Xiao Yan, and an indescribable feeling emerged in his heart. In order to grasp the situation as soon as possible, he had risked his life and entered the forbidden area of the northern Kang Mountains. He had almost died, but he still hadn't completely mastered it. What do you mean? The people outside of the northern Kang Mountains are my subordinates. Since I have the prestige power spell, I might as well stay here. His mind raced. Su Chuya laughed and said weakly, if I want to leave, who can stop me? Xiao Yan laughed without a care. He looked at the few peaks in the center of the mountain. At this moment, the magma had gradually stopped. The hot air rushed into the sky, bringing with it a pungent smell. The 8 powers have been rare since ancient times. I never thought that a random person would have one of the 8 powers. Su Chuya smiled coldly. He changed to a comfortable position and laid down. He glanced at Xiao Yan and hesitated for a moment before asking, how did you get the prestige power spell? I don't know. It appeared out of nowhere. Xiao Yan thought for a while and shook his head. When he was in Elder Yi's illusion realm, the prestige power spell had appeared in front of his chest for some reason. It was possible that several terrifying qi had affected each other and created the prestige power spell by chance. It's strange. The fortune is really deep. Su Chuya couldn't help but clench his teeth when he heard this. Then he smiled bitterly and looked up at the dense branches and leaves. He seemed to be mumbling to himself, once, my mother was the saintess of the clan. After entering the forbidden area of the North Kang Mountains to train, she was met with a mysterious curse. After returning, she lost all of her origin chis, and became a cripple. At that time, my mother was already pregnant, and my father was the son of the clan. I endured tremendous pressure, and when I was born, my mother committed suicide, and the curse of my mother was passed on to me. When I was a child, I was almost tortured to death by that damned curse. Fortunately, I managed to endure it in the end and refined the curse. Only then did I have the current situation. As he spoke, Su Chuya let out a cold laugh and looked at Xiao Yan, who was muttering to himself. This situation skill was exchanged with our lives. I don't believe that I can't control it. Xiao Yan didn't say anything. He didn't expect Su Chuya to tell him the origin of this skill. My mother passed away when I was young. The things she left behind made me give up on myself. Xiao Yan spoke softly. A trace of warmth flashed across his eyes. Su Chuya's experience was somewhat similar to his. Unknowingly, he felt a trace of warmth towards this young man in front of him. Prestige power spell? Su Chuya sneered, but his expression was no longer as disdainful as before. Bei Kangshan, do you know where that expert is? Ignoring Su Chuya's provocative words, Xiao Yan turned his eyes and looked at the majestic mountain in the distance. He spoke softly, but his mind was already filled with crazy thoughts. I don't know. The Northern Kang Mountains was just an ordinary mountain 30,000 years ago. After that, for some reason, it became mysterious overnight. Many mighty figures in the Mingan divine domain couldn't figure it out, but they heard that the first city lord of Medicine City knew some secrets. Unfortunately, ever since he made a trip to the Northern Kang Mountains. When I come out, I will not mention anything about the Northern Kang Mountains until I pass away in meditation. The first city lord of Medicine City? Xiao Yan was stunned for a moment, then he immediately remembered the old man he saw in ancient monarch Tuo Shi's cave. Could it be him? The first city lord of Medicine City, a legendary figure who appeared 30,000 years ago. His skill in alchemy was unparalleled, but he didn't know why there were so few records about him. He only knew that he had built the Medicine City, and with his own ability, he had made the Medicine City famous in the world. Many of the herbs in the Northern Kang Mountains were planted by him when he was still alive. Speaking of the Medicine City's city lord, even Su Chuya couldn't help showing a trace of respect on his face. The current Medicine City's city lord, Sung Yintong, is rumored to be the disciple of the first city lord of Medicine City. He only received a few pointers from Medicine Lord. Currently, no one in the surrounding few realms is his match in alchemy. My clan has tried many times to hire him, but we never agreed to it. After recovering slightly from his injuries, Su Chuya struggled to stand up from the ground. The origin chi in his body surged. Under the effect of the situation skill, all the injuries on his body healed quickly. However, just like what Xiao Yan had said, there was no new flesh growing on his broken arm. Medicine Lord, the first city lord of Medicine City? What's his name? A thought flashed through Xiao Yan's mind as he probed. Yao Xuanji is said to be the advancement of the fighting monarch of Lower Realm. At the beginning, he was merely cultivating the origin chi. 20,000 years ago, for some reason, he suddenly started concocting origin chis. His skill in alchemy improved by leaps and bounds, and his name became famous. Su Chuya sighed with emotion and shook his head. Clearly, he held Medicine Lord in high regard. Yao Xuanji? A trace of confusion flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes when he heard this name. After that, he stood there in a daze without saying anything. When he was in Spiritual Sky City, he had heard the sect master of Purple Radiance sect, Xiao Wang, say that he had never heard of Yao Xuanji. He never thought that he would appear in Mingan Divine Domain, the alchemy emperor of the Yao clan in the lower realm, the current Medicine Lord. He just started cultivating the origin chi, and then he suddenly started refining 3-step soul transfers. Among these, there must be a powerful expert who carried out the 3-step soul transfer for him. Thinking of this, Xiao Yan took a deep breath, and for a moment, he didn't know what to say. You said, Medicine Lord turned into a sitting corpse? After a long time, Xiao Yan finally spoke in a hoarse voice. His tone was full of expectation. That's right. Ever since he went into the depths of the Northern Kang Mountains, he closed his door of death and did not welcome anyone else. He met Sung Yintong once in a while when he came out of secluded meditation. He felt that he was quite talented, so he gave him a few pointers. More than 5,000 years ago, he died in meditation in Medicine City. He never stepped into the northern Kang Mountains again. The power behind Su Chuya was also a huge power, and all of these secrets were clearly known to him. More than 5,000 years ago. Upon hearing this, Xiao Yan helplessly sighed. The pleasant surprise in his heart had vanished. Up until now, he knew about the ancient people of Fighting Qi continent. One of them died in meditation, while the other was mysterious and unfathomable. It was truly regrettable. You have also recovered. We will bid you farewell now. We will meet again if fate allows us to meet again in the future. Having made up his mind, Xiao Yan didn't stay any longer. He forced a smile at Su Chuya and flew towards the direction of the outside world. His speed was so fast that he disappeared in an instant. Hey! Su Chuya was stunned for a moment. Then, he let out a soft laugh. A trace of playful light flashed across his eyes. He mumbled to himself, interesting. This is the first time I have seen such a person with such character. As he thought about it, Su Chuya looked at the forbidden area of the northern Kang Mountains and thought for a while. He also rushed in another direction, intending to leave the mountain. That technique should be in the northern Kang Mountains. I will pay him a visit when I become stronger. Now, let's go to the Medicine City to find Sung Yintong. He should know something about the Medicine Sovereign. I don't believe that he will die so easily. In the forest, Xiao Yan's eyes were glowing with a golden light. He was roaring madly in his heart. The tall city walls of Medicine City faintly appeared in their line of sight. Liu Shan couldn't help but cheer. Being able to come out of the magma alive was already their greatest fortune. There were still many people in front of the city gate. Many of them were discussing the matter of the magma erupting once again. Each of them had a serious expression on their faces. They initially thought that the magma eruption would take a few more days, but they didn't expect it to suddenly erupt, causing many of them to lose their lives. This has caused a great loss to the Medicine City. Looking at the gloomy expressions on everyone's faces, Liu Shuishi let out a low sigh, and his voice carried a hint of bitterness. Everyone in Medicine City, who doesn't hate and love Bei Kangshan? No matter how much we obtain from it, we will naturally have to bear it. Liu Yan gave a carefree smile and walked next to Xiao Yan. She was a little shy. Liu Shuishi looked at Liu Yan's expression and then looked at Xiao Yan's serious expression. He sighed in his heart. He had experienced it before, so he naturally knew that his little sister was a single lover. Brother Xiao Yan, you wish to meet City Lord Sung. Although I can introduce you to him, I'm afraid that the City Lord is busy with many things, and I'm afraid that he won't be able to meet you. With a bitter smile, Liu Shuishi cupped his hands towards Xiao Yan. On the way back, he knew Xiao Yan's name, and naturally, he knew what Xiao Yan was thinking. He was once the captain of the guards of City Lord's mansion, and had an extraordinary relationship with the City Lord. Out of gratitude, he agreed to Xiao Yan's request. It doesn't matter, it's better to wait a little longer. Xiao Yan came back to his senses and nodded slightly. He was now certain that the old man who spoke to ancient monarch Tuo Shi was the Medicine Sovereign. Although the two of them had been separated for about 10,000 years, their meeting was still full of mystery. As the disciple of the Medicine Sovereign, Sung Yintong might know some more secretive things. Seeing Xiao Yan's calm attitude, Liu Shuishi didn't say anything else. He led Xiao Yan straight to Medicine City. Along the way, there were naturally people who were familiar with him. When they saw Liu Shuishi, all of them were stunned. They all knew that. A few days ago, Liu Shuishi, Lu Xing and his brothers had gone to the northern Kang Mountains. They had seen everything clearly. They had just heard about the eruption of the magma in the northern Kang Mountains when they saw Liu Shuishi and his brothers return safely. This caused many people to mumble in their hearts, and some even felt regretful. These regrets naturally wouldn't be shown on their faces. Many people greeted Liu Shuishi one after another, and most of them looked at Liu Yan, who was standing beside Xiao Yan. When they saw her acting like a daughter, many of them looked at Xiao Yan with hostile gazes, causing the latter to furrow his brows. This kind of feeling was really not very pleasant. Liu Shuishi responded with a formatted smile when he heard the flattery from these people. His eyes secretly glanced over. When he saw Xiao Yan's unhappy expression, his heart shivered. He hurriedly quickened his pace and led a few people into Medicine City under the watch of many people. The moment they entered the Medicine City, a rich medicinal fragrance entered their nostrils. In the shops on the street, every household had a rich medicinal fragrance that drifted out. Looking from afar, one could see numerous tall towers standing in the middle of the city. There were countless medicine cauldrons burning with fire, the fragrance of the medicine cauldrons mixed with the fragrance of the herbs. It made people's ears and eyes bright, and they were full of energy. No wonder everyone said that the medicine city was one of the most suitable cities for living in the Mingan divine domain. Now, it seemed like these words weren't false. After settling Liu Yan and Liu Shan down, Liu Shuishi brought Xiaoyan to the center of the city. Although Medicine City was a remote city, the area it occupied was not inferior to any capital city. The streets were connected in all directions, and with the strange structure of the buildings, most of the people who came here for the first time would get lost. Liu Yan looked at Xiaoyan's figure as he walked further and further away. She couldn't help but bite her lips. There was a trace of moisture in her beautiful eyes, and then she felt wronged. This guy just left like that. She didn't even want to tell herself that. Gritting his teeth, he stomped his feet. With a light snort, he left. After a moment, his expression changed. Liu Shan, who was standing at the side, was surprised. If you see City Lord Sung, don't be surprised. Although he has lived for more than 5,000 years, he once ate a strange medicine pill when he was young. His face hasn't changed even now. Many people who saw the City Lord for the first time are very surprised. On the way, Liu Shuishi reminded Xiaoyan in a low voice. When he became a guard of City Lord's mansion, he was welcomed by Sung Yintong together with them. It was a child who was not even 10 years old. It took him a long time to react, and he had made a lot of jokes. Face-setting pill? Xiaoyan's heart moved, and the appearance of the medicine pill immediately appeared in his mind. It had the same effect as the face-preserving pill. However, compared to the latter, the grade of the face-setting pill was even higher, and the refining method was almost lost. He had only heard of it from Elder Yi back then. Thinking of Elder Yi, Xiaoyan's interest was once again raised. According to Su Chouai's description, there was an 80 to 90% chance that the Alchemy Emperor had also passed through the 3-step soul transfer. From then on, his skill in alchemy became famous throughout the world, and more than 20,000 years ago. It was the time when Elder Yi had fallen. In other words, these two mysterious old men must have lived in the same era. He didn't know if these two had met or fought before. Compared to the Star Domain, the buildings in Mingan Divine Domain were even more unique. Each of them had the momentum to soar to the sky. It was dazzling and resplendent, like a huge bird spreading its wings, giving off an unparalleled visual impact. Medicine City is also known as Little Pill City. Many pill competition in Mingan Divine Domain are holding a competition here. There hasn't been any competition during this period of time, so the number of people here has decreased significantly. In the past, the roads were filled with people, and no one knew how many people there were. Seeing Xiaoyan looking at the few medicine cauldrons in the square not far away, Liu Shuishi hurriedly went up and introduced them. Xiaoyan nodded in agreement. Medicine City was also called Small Pill City, and the real Pill City was a huge city at the foot of the Heavenly God Mountain. It was the holy city in the hearts of all alchemists in Mingan Divine Domain, and it gathered countless heroes. Every Pill King in the Pill City competition was a world-shaking figure. Elder Yi was once famous in the Pill City. After walking for about an hour, a simple mansion with a grand atmosphere stood at the end of the street. On both sides of the mansion, there were many guards. The red doors had fallen off a lot of red paint. A faint medicinal fragrance came from the door. Xiaoyan gently sniffed it, and his facial expression changed slightly. While Xiaoyan was looking around, Liu Shuishi, who came forward to ask the question, came back in embarrassment and said apologetically, "The City Lord is concocting pills. He won't meet anyone now." Xiaoyan regained his senses and took a deep look at the tall mansion. Then, he chuckled and said, he said in a clear voice, "But, you still need to be so careful when refining a 5th-rank medicine pill?" This City Lord's 5,000 years of living had really been in vain. Wasn't he ashamed of Medicine Lord? Looks like Medicine Lord's strength is only so-so, to be able to teach such a mediocre person. His voice was so loud that it resounded across the entire street. All the guards were glaring at him angrily. Under the lead of a middle-aged man who looked like a leader, they quickly surrounded Xiaoyan and the other man. No one is allowed to make noise around the City Lord's mansion. "Didn't anyone tell you?" Liu Shuishi's facial expression changed instantly. He was about to step forward and explain. Xiao Yan pulled him back and looked at the entrance of the city lord's mansion with a smile that wasn't a smile. Just a moment ago, he felt a faint cold snort. Sure enough, in the next moment, the vermilion door opened with a loud bang, and a clear voice rang in Xiao Yan's ears. I never thought that my alchemy skills could travel alone in the world. However, those who insult my master must be punished severely. Quote, 0. The vermilion door opened wide and a child stepped out. The child was about 10 years old. His lips were red and his teeth were white. He was as cute as a porcelain doll, but his white hair was draped over his shoulders. He was like a black pearl embedded in his eyes. He had seen through the vicissitudes of life. At a glance, he looked like a deep and bottomless pool of water. Greetings, my lord. Many sturdy guards bowed and greeted the child when they saw him. They did not dare to look down on the child in front of them. No one knew how terrifying this old monster, who had lived for 1,000 years, was. City Lord, I, Liu Shuishi, have brought a friend here to pay my respects. This brother of mine has spoken too fiercely. Please forgive us, sir. Liu Shuishi, who was still strong-willed in front of everyone, hurriedly knelt down and explained when he saw the child. Liu Shuishi, get up. There is no point in talking anymore. If you insult my master, I will make him die without a burial ground. The child's voice was clear, but his tone was filled with killing intent. Without even looking at Liu Shuishi, he stretched out his little hand. In an instant, the wind and clouds surged like a furious lion that was about to surround Xiao Yan. As soon as the child attacked, he displayed his powerful strength. No one else felt anything unusual except for Xiao Yan, who was standing in the middle of the crowd. It was as if he was facing an endless amount of pressure, as if he was suffocating. Bang! Both of his knees trembled violently, and the ground that he was standing on instantly sank. My master is sitting in the north. You should apologize to him. The child's expression was ugly, and he felt like he was gnashing his teeth in anger. He waved his little hand, and was about to make Xiao Yan kneel down completely. Medicine Lord, really died in meditation? Xiao Yan's expression became serious. He took a deep breath, and a dark golden light flashed in front of his chest, forcing the terrifying qi away. He lightly tapped the tip of his foot, and walked out of the encirclement of the child's qi. At the same time, he had a serious expression on his face as he stared at the child. A trace of coldness flashed across the child's face. He slowly withdrew his hand and did not answer Xiao Yan's question. His cold eyes looked at the dumbstruck Liu Shuishi and said with an expressionless face, Liu Shuishi, who did you bring? Before the latter could respond, the child sneered and looked at Xiao Yan. If you are here to find trouble, I can tell you very clearly that you won't be able to walk out of Medicine City alive. City Lord Sung is being too serious. I have come here because I want to inquire about some things related to Medicine Lord. I have no other intentions. Xiao Yan let out a hearty laugh. Starlight flickered under his feet as he arrived in front of the child. After which, he bowed slightly and cupped his hands towards the child. Medicine Lord's name is renowned throughout the Mingan divine domain. What do you want to know? The young child frowned slightly. He looked deeply at Xiao Yan before waving his hand, indicating for the many soldiers around to disperse. Since City Lord is the last disciple of Medicine Lord when he was alive, I'm sure he knows about Medicine Lord's background. Xiao Yan sorted out his thoughts and spoke in a low voice. My master is mysterious and unpredictable. I am just an ordinary person that he has taken a fancy to. Besides mastering some alchemy techniques, I don't know anything else. The young child snorted coldly, and without saying another word, he flicked his sleeve and was about to leave. His gaze looked towards the depths of the estate, and there wasn't a trace of worry between his brows. Xiao Yan couldn't help but frown. Just as he was about to speak, he saw the child about to turn around and leave. Suddenly, he laughed lightly and said, City Lord Sung also knows that he's Medicine Lord's disciple, but he can't teach a junior how to concoct pills. I'm afraid it won't be pleasant to hear about it. How did you know? The young child's facial expression changed instantly when he heard this. He glanced at his mansion and looked at Xiao Yan with a cold gaze. He couldn't hide the surprise in his eyes. Because, I am also from the lower realm of the 3 steps soul transfer, and I share the same bloodline as Medicine Lord. Xiao Yan's expression remained unchanged. He didn't seem to be lying at all, and he didn't seem to be telling the truth at all. This caused the child's face to be filled with shock. The 3 steps soul transfer. Sung Yintong muttered to himself. A strange light flashed in his eyes. He took a deep look at Xiao Yan, and the cold expression on his face gradually disappeared. Then, he said with an expressionless face, "Come in." After saying that, he led the way and walked into the manor. Xiao Yan chuckled and followed after him. Outside the door, Liu Shuishi, who was covered in cold sweat, was stunned. He stood there for a long time without saying a word. After entering the city lord's mansion, an open scenery entered his eyes. The air was filled with a light medicinal fragrance. The layout was elegant, as if he was standing in a forest. The two of them walked without saying a word. Xiao Yan followed behind Sung Yintong and sized up the surroundings. The red sandalwood pillars supported numerous wooden houses that were filled with an ancient style. It was only at this moment that Xiao Yan remembered. The child in front of him was an old man who was over 5,000 years old and had experienced countless vicissitudes of life. This mansion of mine has the support of a divine weapon. It can isolate most of the soul energy. Even if it's an illusionary soul, it won't be able to see much. Since you can see it clearly, I'll believe what you said. It's the soul energy of the 3 steps soul transfer. The child suddenly spoke. His tone was mixed with some unknown emotions. Hearing this, a trace of a smile flashed across Xiao Yan's face. What he said before was basically just a guess. With the skill of the Medicine City's city lord in alchemy, a mere 5th-rank medicine pill was a piece of cake for him. Since that was the case, he could only guide the younger generation in concocting pills. Judging from the expression on his face, he could roughly guess what was going on. There was an accident during the guidance process, but he didn't expect that due to an accident, he had guessed correctly. There were no guards in the mansion. With Sung Yintong's strength, there was really nothing in Medicine City that could hurt him. You said that you share the same bloodline as my master. What do you mean by that? Under the lead of the child, the two of them walked to a dense bamboo forest. The former spoke once again with an overbearing aura. Medicine Lord's name is Yao Xuanji, and he has broken through to the fighting monarch of Lower Realm. Medicine Lord and I come from the same plane. Xiao Yan carefully opened his mouth and observed Sung Yintong's expression. Sung Yintong did not speak for a long time after hearing this. His sharp eyes stared at Xiao Yan. It was a long while later before he finally sighed softly. His eyes turned elsewhere as he said, "You are right. My master is indeed from the lower realm. I also do not wish to understand my master's past. What do you wish to know?" Medicine Lord came to the Great World 30,000 years ago. It's said that he was only famous for his origin qi cultivation at the beginning. 20,000 years ago, he entered the northern Kang Mountains, and his soul power skyrocketed. From now on, his alchemy skills have reached the acme of perfection. I wonder what Medicine Lord went through in the northern Kang Mountains? After hearing Xiao Yan's words, Sung Yintong's facial expression changed slightly. He then said in a cold voice, about the northern Kang Mountains. "It's a taboo for my master to tell outsiders about it. Don't mention it again." Xiao Yan frowned. He thought that Sung Yintong, as his disciple, would know some things about the northern Kang Mountains, but he didn't expect Medicine Lord to keep his mouth shut. Regarding the matter of the northern Kang Mountains, he didn't say a word. The sound of the wind in the bamboo forest was clear and serene. The two of them fell into silence once again. Xiao Yan raised his head and looked at the sky that was covered by the branches and leaves. His mind was filled with wild thoughts. 20,000 years ago, when Tuo Shi arrived in the Great World, the two of them met in the northern Kang Mountains. What exactly happened? When Medicine Lord reached the 3-step soul transfer, he kept his mouth shut and never stepped into the northern Kang Mountains for the rest of his life. Reporting to Master, the Su family of the southern region, young Master, Su Chuya, has come to pay a visit. While the two of them were deep in thought, a loud voice suddenly sounded from outside the bamboo forest. 1-inch Su Chuya? Why is he here? Xiao Yan's body trembled when he heard this. He was shocked in his heart. The first thing he thought of was the situation of the former. It was one of the 8 powers. It was impossible for him not to pay attention to it. A guest has come. You wait here quietly. I'll be right there. Sung Yintong was like a young child, yet he was extremely experienced. When he heard Su Choi's name, anger surged into his brows. With a wave of his sleeve, he walked out of the bamboo forest. Looking at Sung Yintong's back as he left, Xiao Yan sighed to himself. He could also tell what was going on. This old fellow. He didn't seem to be very friendly to him, but there was nothing he could do about it. If he hadn't provoked him with words, he wouldn't have been able to enter the city lord's mansion. Forget it if I really can't get anything out of it. I should hurry to the Heaven Divine Mountain. He shook his head. Xiao Yan muttered to himself. He looked around and saw a small path paved with bluestone. At the end of the path was a rippling lake. On the other side of the lake was a small wooden house. A faintly discernible pill fragrance was coming from this wooden house. The medicinal fragrance was mixed with a trace of undetectable muddy smell, as if it was burnt. Xiao Yan softly cried out in surprise. He thought for a moment before he took a step forward. The unusual scent that he had sensed at the door earlier must have come from this place. There was a wooden bridge on the lake's surface. There were countless koi fish in the lake, and they were all fighting to sneak into the lake. There was a unique charm to it. "Grandpa, where have you been? I still can't do it." Just as he walked down the wooden bridge, a crisp voice came from a wooden house. Immediately after, a little boy in green clothes angrily slammed the door and came out. "Who are you?" The little boy was stunned at first when he saw Xiao Yan, then he screamed loudly. His face was red, and his big eyes flickered. He looked extremely handsome. Before Xiao Yan could explain, the little boy pursed his lips and gave a clear whistle. In the next moment, a crisp sound was heard from behind the wooden house. In an instant, a two-man-sized white dragon condor was sent flying. Its sharp eyes seemed to be able to tear the opponent into pieces. The white eagle flapped its wings and tried to grab Xiao Yan with its sharp claws. The white dragon condor was a high-grade heavenly beast. It was a peak-grade white dragon condor, and its strength was around 600 Emperor cultivation warriors. According to the rumors, the pure white dragon eagle was born in the wilderness of the barbarian domain. It fed on flood dragons, and its strength was comparable to the holy beast. Its strength was ferocious, and there were very few of them. It was true that Sung Yintong Prefecture had great means to tame one of them. Little thing, Xiao Yan's facial expression changed slightly when he saw the aggressive white dragon condor. He couldn't help but curse. His body flashed, and he barely dodged the fatal attack. The sharp claws of the white dragon condor tore through the space, causing the ground to shatter. Green rock tiles collapsed, and dust flew into the air. Cree! The white dragon condor's gaze was as sharp as a knife, containing a wild and violent temper. With a sharp cry, it rushed towards Xiao Yan, who was in midair. Its huge wings covered the sky, causing the thousands of koi fish in the lake to flee in panic, causing countless water ripples to appear. "HMPH, you want to harm me? You really don't know the difference between life and death." Seeing that Xiao Yan was forced to dodge, the little boy in green smiled complacently. He patted the water and shouted towards the sky, "Little white, quickly kill him. Otherwise, it will be bad if Grandpa comes back." Buzz! After hearing the little boy's words, the white dragon condor became even more violent. Its eyes were bloodshot as it launched an even fiercer attack at Xiao Yan. As it continuously dodged the white dragon condor's attack, the anger in Xiao Yan's heart increased. He had just come in and was treated coldly by Sung Yintong, and now, for some reason, he was hated by a little kid. This immediately aroused his anger. "Get lost!" The white dragon condor swooped down once again. Its chi was astonishing, and its sharp claws were about to pierce through Xiao Yan's chest. Its eyes were gloomy, and as the golden origin chi rippled, it punched out with its fist, as if it was going to pierce through the heaven and earth, causing the surrounding origin chi to rumble. Like 1,000 jun of force, it sent the white dragon condor flying, and like a huge rock, it fell towards the lake below. Swoosh! Just as it was about to land on the lake's surface, the white dragon condor suddenly stabilized its body. Its ferocious aura erupted completely, and 2 streams of yellow smoke suddenly shot out from its tiny nostrils. Wherever the smoke passed, the space shook rapidly, as if it was going to melt, and it shot towards Xiao Yan at high speed. Corrupted dragon liquid. The white dragon condor thought that the flood dragon was food for the flood dragon. Its dragon bones were as hard as iron and stone. In order to digest the dragon bones, a corrosive liquid had already formed in its body. This liquid was enough to easily kill experts who were many levels higher than it. It was also the white dragon condor's greatest trump card. Die! Xiao Yan was also furious at this moment. The golden blood and chi in his body were rolling like surging waves. He raised his golden fist, and the crimson gold flame around his body was curled up. With an indomitable momentum, he rushed forward. The moment he got close to the corrupted dragon liquid, his body suddenly disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was already at the white dragon condor's abdomen. Boom! The fist was raised with a loud bang, and it hit the white dragon condor's abdomen. The white dragon condor let out a miserable cry, and its flesh was torn open. A trace of blood mixed with internal organs spurted out from its mouth, and like a kite with a broken string, it powerlessly fell to the open space beside it. Its huge body trembled, and it was on the verge of death. Click! Xiao Yan landed on the ground with an expressionless face. He looked at the stunned green-clothed little boy beside him, and the fierce look in his eyes made the latter shiver. "You! What did you do to little White? You killed it. Grandfather will not forgive you." Although the little boy appeared young and tender, there were already some corners on his face. He forced himself to calm down and stared at Xiao Yan sternly. He is not dead, but it will be much more difficult for him to recover. However, with City Lord Sung's alchemy skills, it is still very easy to treat him. After knocking the white dragon condor unconscious with a few punches, Xiao Yan's anger had mostly been vented, and his tone had become much more relaxed. "Are you refining pills?" Xiao Yan sniffed and suddenly looked at the little boy suspiciously. There was a mysterious smile on his face. "You? How do you know?" The little boy was stunned. He was a little surprised. Before he came out, he had extinguished the fire in the furnace. According to the rules of alchemy, the fire in the furnace was sealed. Although it was his first time concocting a pill, he had memorized the basic rules. The medicine pill that was refined is still outside. After the dilution of the turbid origin qi in the air, the medicinal effect is estimated to be less than 90%. "Didn't your grandfather tell you?" Xiao Yan smiled helplessly and said, "Ah, I forgot to put it away." After Xiao Yan's reminder, the little boy cried out in shock. Only now did he remember that they had failed to refine the medicine pill just now. In a fit of anger, they placed the medicine pill on the table and angrily came out. "However, you are really strange. Although you have yet to master the soul force, you are actually able to refine such a high-grade medicine pill." Xiao Yan's brows raised as he looked earnestly at the little boy, as if he wanted to discover something from the latter's eyes. "Xiao, you insulted my master first and bullied my grandson later. Today, even if you are my master's junior in the lower realm, I will let you know what kind of place this is, and how can I allow you to behave atrociously here." Before the little boy could speak, a thunderous roar came from afar. In the next moment, the ashen-faced Sung Yintong appeared in front of Xiao Yan. With a gloomy expression, he blocked Xiao Yan's gaze. On the wooden bridge on the lake, a man with skin as fair as snow and an appearance that was even more delicate than a woman stood with his hands behind his back curiously. The man's black hair, which was draped over his shoulders, had a conspicuous strand of white hair. Without a doubt, it was Su Chuya.